Welcome to Drive Through HR, where we discuss ideas, trends, and activities impacting HR talent, technology, and the workplace. I'm Robin Schooling, along with my co host, Michael Vandervoort, who will chime in momentarily. But first, I want to open this show with a bit of an announcement. This is our first Drive Through HR episode, first show of the year of 2025. And it is theoretically our first show of the 16th season when we consider a season lasting a full year. That's right. We are kicking off our 16th season because today, February 1st, 2025, at noon Central Time, is the precise exact anniversary of the first broadcast ever, first show ever was aired February 1st, 2010, by Drive Through HR's founder and original host, Brian Wempen. So we are carrying on the tradition, and Michael and I get to talk about this a lot. But let him chime in. Welcome, Michael, to
Hey,
our first show of the
Robin.
year.
Happy New Year, because we haven't, I know we actually have talked and I said that to you, but no, it's cool to be here. This last couple of months, and we'll get into this a little bit in a second,
Yep.
but we kept going like we're gonna do all these things and we're gonna build up for the show and we're gonna and life threw us some curveballs and didn't really make
Yep.
it very simple. And you've done a lot of work here recently behind the scenes, and we'll talk about what that looked like in a second.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's good to be back, and I hope that we can get back on kind of a regular keel here. This first month of 2025 has been killing me at the office, and
Mhm.
I'd like to, this is almost like going on vacation talking to you. So
It,
anyway,
it, it
like
is.
glad to be here. So and like wow, season 16, right?
That's right. And season 16 with a little bit of a twist, because some of our folks that are listening to us may be listening to us on a different platform than they've listened to us before. The show has been on Blog Talk Radio, which was one of the originals, right? It was the OG. It was still called radio. We didn't even call it podcasts back in the day. But the show has been on Blog Talk Radio as its primary home since the beginning. So since February of 2010. And Blog Talk Radio is going out of business, if you will, not supporting platforms anymore. And so with our new season, our home base is a new platform, Podbean. But of course, we are available on every channel that folks listen and catch their podcasts on. But we've got this captured on our website, which is drivethroughhr.online. But just kind of want to talk about it again because today, being the anniversary, I think it's really cool. And we've lost or we're losing kind of this history with Blog Talk Radio going out of business. But just on Blog Talk Radio alone, we have had um, almost 950,000 listens slash downloads. That's just Blog Talk Radio. That's without the Spotify's and everything. So almost a million listens on Blog Talk Radio alone, and 1,665 episodes. So this is actually episode 1,667 that we are kicking off with today for season 16.
And we are not clear if those 1,666, whatever the math is there, minus one of 1,667, we are not clear if those episodes are disappearing for good because we could not export them. And we don't know if the platform is shutting down in total or if it's just not going to be supported anymore. But
Yeah.
anyway, either way, we're going to carry on, but it will be in a new place, and we might just have one show starting tomorrow.
That's right.
So we'll see.
That's right. So as we get into 2025, and we thought we'd kind of reminisce a little bit, yeah, combo reminisce about the show, but I guess Um, the biggest news, of course, as we kick off here 2025 is we have a new administration sitting in the White House in the seat of government, and we're gonna dive into a few of the things that have already happened in the less than 2 weeks of this new administration. Um, but looking back on 2024, um, what are some things that we saw happening? Um, that I was thinking about this because there's some things that happened in 2024 or over the last few years that we may look back on fondly because they're lost forever, perhaps. Um, and as I was kind of thinking about that, was thinking, one of the things that I think we're going to look back at fondly, at least for the foreseeable future, is kindness and consideration for our fellow human beings and kindness and consideration in the workplace. I have a feeling that we're losing some of that, or we will be losing more of that. Um, and I think it's going to be a struggle for HR folks to remember all the work that has come before 2025 to create work environments where people are treated with kindness, people are respected, where attention is paid to people belonging, um, people feeling as if they have a voice. Because I think we're gonna see a change in that, at least on the surface level. Maybe not in a lot of places day to day, but the way we talk about it, I think is going to be very different. We've spent the last post-pandemic years, I would say, um, really doing some remarkable things, I think, in the world of HR by elevating these conversations around um, what people want at work, which is to feel that they're part of something, to feel included, to feel respected, to be treated with dignity and compassion. And in a few short weeks, we've started to unravel and reverse a lot of that. Um, so I look back at that fondly because I think we're in for a challenging time ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's been I mean, you can go back, 8 years, you can go back 10 years, you can go back 12
Yeah.
years and see. I mean, we've had this break, whatever it is, schism looming for a long time.
Yeah.
The, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. So even just since the election, and I'm by no means an expert, but it's becoming very obvious, I think, that there are two strongly divided camps. I'm not like this, I sound like Captain Obvious here. Um, it's not just the camps, and it's not just politics. They're like, this is what I've been thinking about. I don't know how to articulate it. So I know what I believe, right? I believe
Hmm.
that what I believe is right. And I believe in inclusion. I believe in acceptance. I believe in tolerance. I believe that trans people should have the ability to live a normal life in society. There is and many people on, if I have a side of the fence, many people on my side of the fence would say the same thing. And we're right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we would say. There is an equally large number of people within and outside the HR profession who have a completely opposite view of that and believe just as strongly as I do that
Hmm.
they are right. They believe
Hmm.
that a lot of the so-called DEI hires and things that have been talked about, um, literally, they believe there's an agenda from the left that has unfairly discriminated against, a lot of people in the country. And to we're what we've lost is, in my opinion, is the ability to filter anything from the other side. Like I have to work really hard to
Hmm.
even go here where I'm at right now,
Right.
because so much of what I see on that other side, if you will, makes me roll my eyes and go, "What the hell are those people?" And but they are saying the same exact thing, pointing at us. What's wrong with you? How can you not see this is obvious? And we're not trying to break that down. And I think in times past, whether you're in HR or not, we tried to break that stuff down and do a little
Hmm.
better at looking under the hood. And we need to get back to that some way, but I don't know. I don't see that happening for a long time.
And I see again, it is so you're right in that this stuff has been percolating and this divide has just been building and building and building. And these last days, 11 days, 12 days, whatever we're on, um, it's so fast. It is just like this onslaught of rhetoric and hatred and unwillingness. We are in that place where there's this unwillingness. We already weren't having the greatest conversations. We are now totally not having these
Yeah.
conversations. And this onslaught, this assault um, on what I consider and have always considered in the 30 plus years that I've worked in HR, I have always believed in um, the power that can come from having a diverse workforce, providing opportunities for people. I started my career um, in HR, in-house HR with a government contractor. I was very glad of that as time went on because we were a government contractor. We had an affirmative action plan. It allowed us to because we had to have an understanding of data and making decisions that were in accordance um, with the law of the land and providing opportunity for people. There were not quotas. That's one of the misconceptions about affirmative action forever, right? It does not mandate, there are not quotas mandated, never have been. But it's providing this opportunity and it's taking action to make sure you have this inclusive, before we even use the word inclusive, but you have an inclusive hiring process and accessibility for people. And with the executive order um, that Trump has signed now, getting rid of Executive Order 11246, which LBJ had put into place, we've 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 lost that foundation that was afforded for government contractors uh, by that executive order, and I kind of mourn that because people will have lost an understanding of what sound practices can be. It gave me a good foundation, even when I didn't work for contractors. I was glad I
Yeah.
had learned that. But now what I see, and this hurts my this hurts my heart as a human being. The code words being tossed about. I just want to scream every time I read something in an article in a tweet or whatever, right? Of, oh, well, they're a DEI hire. You know what? I'm just waiting for you to come out with the racial slur right now because that's what you mean. And I just want to scream that we are there. I am waiting for somebody in a true position of power to just use the N word with the hard R at a news conference or something because we are right on that precipice and the flinging out of, well, they're a DEI hire, they're a DEI hire. You know what do you mean? They're not white and they're not a male is really what you're saying, and therefore I can just look at them and know that they quote what they're saying is I can look at this person and know that they're unqualified. I can't I can't get past that thinking. And it's hard for me. And I have to get past that thinking because in HR, I have to be able to have those
Yeah.
conversations with people.
Like,
And
yeah. I mean, look, and that, I mean, that's a, that's, I mean, people like every day I see on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, people that are on both sides that are,
Yeah.
we like there was the whole thing of cancel culture, and now they're saying, oh, cancel culture is over because Elon killed it and blah blah blah. It's not over. It's just different.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
they're doing it. People come out and say racial things, and somebody posts their TikTok and she works at this business, and then they get fired. And
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, that's all I'm sure great for clicks and views and making yourself feel good for 5 minutes, but it's not solving anything. And we're not going to solve it here. And we have a couple
No.
other things we need to talk about. But no,
No.
I feel you, and it concerns the hell out of me. And I would say, like I do another podcast at work called the Left to Boom Show,
Yep.
and we had a guest on last year, and she works at a law firm, and they have and God, the name is escaping me of the law firm right off the top of my head. Her name is Dawn Soloway, and they have what they call a cultural flashpoints task force that they implemented to provide legal advice on these types of issues to their clients, because there's so much. It's literally becoming a
Hmm.
part of a law practice to deal with hot culture flashes or what am I trying to say? Hotspots in the
Yep.
workplace, right?
I believe it.
And to imagine that, I mean that that's a little insane, really, but it's almost necessary by function. So, um, other things though, from the same sweeping changes by President Trump, um, more personal. I have heard stories. Someone that we know well who has had their own business for a long time, and among other things, used to do podcast, professionally funded podcasts on behalf of the Department of Labor, lost a
Hmm.
contract as soon as
Yep.
the executive order was signed.
Yep.
Lady in Chicago that we know well from Sherm, Illinois, has had a business for 25 years helping people do their affirmative action plans and
Yep.
EEO. Yep. And that business, I guess, evaporated
Is
overnight. I mean,
yep.
it doesn't mean that companies are going to stop doing some of the things, and a lot of companies may continue the internal reporting
Right.
because it's likely to come back when we shift administrations again, if that ever actually happens in the future. Um, and so I don't know, but in the meantime, I mean, there's some like real, and there's just stories that there's more and more stories, more people impacted, for not even talking about people that are being deported or whatever that we're gonna
Right.
have to deal with. So
Right.
I did a 2-minute discussion about the NLRB bloodbath or massacre or whatever you want to call it, from the beginning of the week, and with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the question that I got asked was what like, and whether it's EEOC or NLRB or any other agency, that what should HR be doing right now? And I
Hmm.
think right
Hmm.
now, I mean, obviously everything's changing wildly, and it's going to take quite a while to get things to settle down and understood,
Hmm.
and that they need to change the leadership, and the leadership is you don't even know who it is yet at the NLRB or
Right.
the EOC. Employers probably need, I mean, you need to assess things, obviously, and talk to your lawyers, but I would stay the course. And I don't mean just keep doing EEO or DEI like you did it. You need
Hmm.
to evaluate that, but you also don't necessarily like need to abandon ship in 1 second, because you don't know where this is going to land, right?
Right.
So like,
Right.
stay the course, do take a measured approach, do it with compliance, and do what you need to do to
Yep.
mitigate risk. And I mean, I don't even know what that is, because there's so many things to think about right now.
Happening. Yeah.
But don't
Exactly.
don't react like the house is on fire and you've got to do everything in 5 seconds either, I guess, is what
Right.
that and that's kind of the advice I gave
Right.
yesterday, which
Yep.
that's
Yep.
just my gut opinion from 38 years in HR.
Well, and I mean, it's just it's like every day. Um, but we went through this with who's first administration,
Hmm.
where I mean I remember that world where we would wake up in the morning and wonder, okay, what kind of shit did he sign or do last night, where the last 4 years I didn't have to worry how the government was running because it was running as we were used to it, right?
The
But
NLRB was a little crazy from a personal level. The Biden
yeah.
NLRB was a little crazy,
um
but at
but
least it
we
at
but we
least it
didn't have to
ran.
wonder we didn't have to wonder every day what was going to be
Exactly.
signed and done, right? And
So,
so just a few days ago, Thursday of this week, um the EEOC, again, and this has been reported. Our friend John Hyman, who does drive-through
Hmm.
HR shows with you, labor relatedly, looking forward
Hmm.
to that series continuing in
Coming back
season
now that we have a
16.
platform to go to.
That's right. But anyway, John posted about the EEOC on Thursday, and like late at night, right, has ordered its employees, its internal staff, to stop processing charges alleging LGBTQ plus discrimination under Title VII.
Hmm.
The EEOC has
And under a Supreme Court decision as well.
right, right under the
Bostock.
Bostock, right, and so um, again, so the EEOC has told its own employees, to basically ignore the law that they are
Hmm.
charged with upholding. And so, again, but to your point, here's this. Okay, this is happening. Now, that does not remove any responsibility from employers, right?
Hmm.
As an employer, I am required to uphold that law, right? I cannot discriminate, um, just because internally, somebody at the EEOC has decided we're going to follow the administration's parent agenda, and treat these people, not in accordance with the law and a Supreme Court ruling. Um, but as an employer, you know what? I still need to do the right thing. I need to be in compliance, and I need to follow this law, whether the EEOC deals with charges or anything that happens. That's
And, and
I
and
need to
perhaps
take
even,
care of my house.
yeah, yeah, and perhaps even more importantly than trying to follow the law in a time of hazy confusion, doing the right thing for the people in the first place, right? Because the right
Exactly.
thing isn't just the law. Again, I don't want to preach, but there's two sides. I mean, there's kind of like two paths there to you walk them. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
just real quick because we're going to run out of time fast. NLRB and EEOC had there were so the general counsel of the NLRB, Jennifer Abruzzo, was fired Monday evening, late Monday evening, I think.
Yeah.
And actually that was she lasted a week longer than we thought she would last because Joe Biden fired the previous general counsel, Peter Robb, on day one of his administration, and that had never been done before. And it was taken to court, and the court ruled that that was a legitimate decision. And so President Trump basically had the right to
That
remove
precedent. Yeah.
Abruzzo, as soon as he wanted to, and he did do that. Then maybe 5 hours later, Trump then wound up Biden. He for the first time in the almost 100-year history of the board removed a sitting confirmed by the Senate board member from a seat in which there's a defined term and some criteria that says members can only be removed, board members may only be removed for certain things. And Trump
Yeah.
just said, yeah, screw that, I'm getting rid of her anyway. And so that'll probably get tested in court as well.
Hmm.
Win Wilcox, an African American woman with history of working for labor unions. Trump's uh, precedent was that he didn't feel she believed in the policies that he felt that the agency should represent on behalf of his administration, which actually may be fair. She probably doesn't, but it still throws into question: did he have the right to do what he did?
Right. Right.
And then he doubled down on that by taking out and by the way, Wilcox was one of three board members sitting at the time, two Democrats. So now there's only two board members, and the
Yeah.
board has to have a quorum of three in
Yeah.
order to do any business. So they're
Yep.
not completely shut down, but they're severely hampered. And they did the same thing with the EEOC. They took out two seated, confirmed Democratic leaning board members from the
Hmm.
EEOC, and they're functionally in the same state. They can do some
Yeah.
business, but not. So it's this is groundbreaking
Yeah.
again under like so much of what we're seeing,
Yep.
and no move at least in the short term to make any like take the next step, which is get new people in there. They're just letting them sit and
Yeah.
stew.
Yeah.
So and what that means again for employers, nobody knows what the hell's going on or what's going to
Right.
happen.
And for employees, um, the cascade, the trickle down effect, maybe not in the first week or two or several months, because the average employee is not paying attention to that,
Right.
right? But the trickle down over time, if these boards are hampered and non-functional, the trickle down becomes to the employees, Sally lunchbox out there, that you don't matter, right? Um,
Yep. And to
there
the
is,
employers in the long term, and to
and
the
to the
employer.
employers. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the
absolutely.
employers may care less in the long run, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, we were gonna do a little reminiscing and we didn't
Yep.
really do
Yep.
that.
Let's wrap up with
So
that.
yeah, why don't we? Because I know we're headed out of time and I don't want to I want so I like I don't even know. I recently spoke to Brian Wempen, who is like out in New Mexico these days and is a published author and just like did some other wonderful thing. He's got quite a lot going on, but he hasn't really been affiliated with Drive Through for a long time. But he
Hmm.
was our founder, if you will, and we've carried
Yep.
on the legacy. So we were hoping to get Brian on, as a guest at, before sometime early this month with,
Yep.
those plans got derailed. So that hasn't happened, but we'll try to get him back on because he was kind of happy to hear that we wanted to bring him back and chat.
Hmm.
Um, I know you put some stuff on the website, like some of the first shows and some of that stuff. Going back to the, like why are we broke talking to each other? Why is our society broke? Like we did some cool shows, the Quarantini shows. Those were
Yes.
they weren't like genius shows, but that in a bleak time of COVID, I think we ran like 9 episodes or something like that, where we
We
basically
had
reached
eight.
out.
Yep.
8. Okay.
Hmm.
It's been a minute since the pandemic, even though we still talk about it every show. But those were outreach care shows, right?
Yeah.
That was an opportunity to build community and check in on
Yep.
people and just have it. And it was almost a throwback to the old HR happy hour days where
Yep.
people would call in and talk to each other, right?
Hmm.
And they recently celebrated their 15th anniversary as
Hmm.
well. And they're going to be guests at some point in the near future. We're going to get Steve and Trish on because I've got that
Hmm.
cooking, but we don't have the dates confirmed yet. But they're going to jump on and talk to us, kind of. So we'll have like an OG show or something coming up.
That's right.
Um, but like so anyway, Brian, William, Nisha,
Yep.
Dwayne, Crystal, me,
Crystal.
you.
Hmm.
I don't think I left any hosts out, but those were the hosts over 15 years, and
Yep.
they all. And it's unfortunate if those old shows go away. I mean, nobody was really listening to a lot of them anymore, I don't think. But there's a lot of cool conversation there. But anyway, I want to thank all those guys, and glad to
Hmm.
still be being able to carry the torch. And we're going to
Hmm.
kind of move into a little bit of a new day. And I don't know that the format will change much, but it's just going to be a
Hmm.
new location. It's kind of like we're moving across town or something, I guess, into a new
That's
condo
right.
or something. So anyway, thanks
and,
for if you've
and
listened anytime in the last 15 years, thanks for listening to our shows and continuing to hang with us as we meander around the world of HR.
that's right. That's a perfect wrap up. I can't think of anything to add to that. So thanks everyone for listening. Peace out, Michael. And
You too,
here's
Robin.
here's to the next 15 years.